Hello there, Kanoka Rob here. This is going to be a little bit of a multifaceted video. We've got a couple of things to cover, so we'll just kind of go ahead and jump right in. First things first, I want to give just a really massive thank you to you, the viewer, to all of the members of the community that are hopefully watching this, and including all those that are not, because New in Town has very recently surpassed 50,000 downloads, which is a tremendous milestone for a pack of this size, a pack like this. Hello, Creeper. You know, it's really a testament to the perseverance of the pack, and to the the love that you guys show me and New in Town. You know, world generation packs like Terralith and Incendium, more general type packs like the Creeper's Code, they're very easy to grow very quickly, in part because they're very easy for YouTubers to pick up and just show off in a quick video, and New in Town doesn't quite have that same luxury, so the growth that it experiences just means that much more. You know, it's taken us a year to get to 50,000, but we reached 50,000, and that's huge. That alone is just massive to me. To commemorate this event, I asked members of the community in the Discord server to submit a selfie of themselves with their settler's wagon, just kind of like I'm standing here now. And so I have got that here on screen for you to see. I've got it in the Discord as well. This is the low-res kind of version. The high-res version would be far too big a file size to have in the Discord. But please let me know in the comments and or in the Discord community as well, if this is something that you might be interested in having like a poster available for purchase. I think that could be really fun and really cool to be able to see it and have to kind of commemorate this massive milestone. And I just thank you to you for being involved with the community. You know, a lot of these updates, a lot of the time, New in Town ends up sitting pretty consistently between 150 to 200 downloads per day. And I know that can't all be new players. A lot of it is, I sure hope so. But a lot of it is also re-downloads when there's new updates. And of course, the download count goes up when there are updates. So that just means that tells me that you guys are playing New in Town, you're enjoying it so much that when new content comes around, you are excited about it and coming in and checking it out. So thank you again. Thank you to everyone who submitted a selfie, a quote, so to speak, hashtag wagon selfie to have in the collage. And hopefully for 100K, we'll have even more people submitting their wagon selfies. So now moving on from that very positive, very uplifting kind of topic, we're going to move into sort of a state of New in Town, or to be more accurate, the state of New in Town Dimensions. I've been getting a lot of questions lately as to when New in Town Dimensions is going to be updated to 1.18. And I want to answer those questions kind of very broadly about my expectations and, to be honest, some of the challenges and trials that I'm experiencing, to give you some realistic expectations as to where New in Town Dimensions is going. I can tell you right off the bat, if you're worried about it just from that kind of topic, there's a lot of suicidal mobs going on over there. I can tell you that Dimensions is not going away. You know, I'm not going to give up on it. It's not going to be left dead in the water. This is a part of New in Town, even as a separate expansion pack. It is something that I care very deeply about, that I've put a lot of work and effort into. And that's part of why I'm giving you this update, is because I want that effort to not necessarily not go unnoticed. You know, I'm not in it for the attention, but I want you to understand that because I have such a passion for it, and because I am putting in so much effort, that is one of the reasons that things are going to take a little while, if I'm being quite honest. So let's first start with the initial challenge with updating Dimensions. Dimensions is basically, it's not going to be updated to 1.18 or 1.18.1. And the reason for that is a simple fact. Mojang has temporarily disabled custom structures for world generation, which is a reasonable decision for the state that World Gen is in right now. So there's no way to add custom structures. In practice, for New in Town Dimensions, this means that the Inbetween can't have any naturally generating portals. So you can't access the other three dimensions in the way that New in Town Dimensions is intended to work, and I'm not going to sacrifice that by incorporating some other way to get there. Especially because even if I did, those other dimensions also wouldn't really have a whole lot interesting to go out and search for. You know, the ancient sea would not have the ancient towers in the buried ocean. The desert would not have pillager obelisks or the Nazca lines. So it would feel worthless. It would be a waste to not have those structures and just go to the dimensions flat as they are. The other challenge that I'm experiencing, which I'll kind of show you here shortly, is the massive changes that have come to World Gen with 1.18. Once those structures do get re-enabled, it's still going to be quite some time before I'm able to update dimensions fully. I'm running into a lot of trials and challenges with that I'll kind of speak to in a little while and show you in many cases. And there's not a lot of documentation. You know, I've been able to find a little bit where I can and scrounge what information I can, but I don't have the time or really the knowledge to figure these things out for myself. So I'm having to rely on the resources that exist to learn what to do, and a lot of it's very dense. A lot of it is very hard to follow, and a lot of it's trial and error and adjusting values by minute margins and hoping that you get better results. So for that reason, it's taking me a long time to update, and it will take a long time to update even once those structures do get re-enabled. So I'll kind of show you what I mean here. Let's go ahead and head into the in-between. In-between, TP. So the in-between is probably the best coming along so far. It's not perfect. There's still quite a bit that I need to learn and that I want to do. But as you can see, we do still have the floating islands situation going on. We've still got the trees and nice water features here. But we're missing the flowers. I'm figuring out what the situation is with that. I think that'll be one of the easier challenges to figure out. It's just a matter of finding the right vanilla feature to use. But I'm missing the flowers here in the forests. This biome over here, this is a new biome that I'm adding called the sky biome. And this is intended to be what's going to be between the islands. I'm fairly confident that's possible to do. It's just a matter of figuring out how to do it. So right now it's just generating like normal landscape. But it's supposed to be what's between the islands, so we don't get particles out here in the void, and hopefully so that we don't get like structures generating in the middle of the sky. So basically ignore this. This won't be the case. The big thing is I need to learn how to do that, and I frankly don't know. You know, I know, but I don't know what I don't know, so to speak. It's a matter of getting the biome distribution right, and roping that in with the terrain generation. But the terrain generation is probably going to be the hardest thing to learn and take the most time to get the way I want it. It's not as simple as importing the old settings into 1.18, and you'll see with the Primordial Desert and the Buried Ocean in particular, they right now look very different than what they did look like and where I want them to be. So let's fly around a little bit more here. We'll talk about a couple of the other challenges the in-between in particular is facing. Like I said, the biome distribution, the terrain is basically not where I want it to be on the whole across all 4 dimensions. So that's just a lot of improvement and progress that needs to be made basically on every front. We've got some flowers down there. See, I would like them everywhere like they were. Let's see. I'm not going to worry about flying around. Let's just do locate biome. In between. Let's go to the battlefield. So in the battlefield is a very prime example of what is kind of missing. The graveyard. All the headstones are not generating. And that's because the way that random patch features now have to work is different. They have to be made differently, and right now I'm just trying to import all the settings as close as possible to the original as I can and editing from there. And right now, that doesn't work. It's more evident in the Buried Ocean and the Tempest, where those aren't working. The magnetites look like garbage, and the block piles that are supposed to be generating on the bottom of the ocean, in the Buried Ocean, are generating in the sky, as single columns instead of little patches and piles. And here in the battlefield, the graves aren't generating at all. So I think that's going to be one of the simpler things to fix. It's just a matter of, trudging through all the changes to features in particular, and figuring out how to make them work kind of the way they did. I think I probably have a lot of work cut out for me trying to not start from scratch, and instead trying to recreate the feeling that Dimensions already had. Recreate features as close to as they did work originally in a new system. And I don't think I'm ever going to be satisfied with it, to be honest, but I can try to get it as close as I can. And right now we're not there. If we go take a look at the Sparkling Glacier as well, we can get another look at, just, things that are different, things that are strange, that I can't get going in the same way. You can see here the basalt that I'm using for the piles of ice is not all being replaced. I think that's just a matter of increasing the count for the replacing features that turns it into the packed ice. But it's not just a straight one-to-one. I'm using the same setting more or less as I did in 1.17, and it's not working the same way. So it's just a lot of small things like that that are all adding up, and some of them are more challenging than others to repair. So I think this is going to be, again, one of the easier things to fix. It's just a matter of doing it and doing it right. You can also see there's no sea lanterns here. For whatever reason, the sea lantern deltas are not generating. It's only these deltas. I don't know if now there can only be one delta, if maybe now, because if both deltas, maybe they're in the same feature list, that they can't do that and they need to be in different feature lists. I don't know, but there's no sea lanterns here, and there should be. There's a lot more gravel too, and part of that I think is just because of the transition that seems to be very natural now. I think that's just kind of a vanilla feature that I can't turn off. So it's actually not quite so evident here in other places, in other biomes, in other dimensions. It's a lot more clear, but there's like a lot of overlap of features from one biome to the other. So the beach biome might have some extra glacier features, and the glacier might have some extra beach features. But regardless, it's just a lot of, like I said, small things that are adding up and kind of wearing me down, if I'm being honest. It's hard seeing something that you are so passionate about and you've put so much time into requiring seemingly quadruple the amount of time that you put into it just to get it to do anything remotely close to how it was working before. All of this, by the way, is after, there were literally days where I was just going through error after error. This is just to get the game to load. For a long time, the data pack wouldn't even validate because of all the errors that, from trying to transition over, all the things that were in different formats that needed to be rewritten sometimes. So it's already been a lot of time investment and a lot of energy investment to get even just this halfway, not even decent, just halfway finished result. Sorry, this is kind of a downer video. Let's go take a look at another dimension. Let's look at the Primordial Desert. I cannot show you the Buried Ocean or the Tempest on video because it will crash. The Tempest in particular is pretty bad. The Buried Ocean, some dimensions can be flown around, or some biomes can be flown around. Let's set the time. Some biomes can be explored a little bit just fine, but for the most part, but then some biomes they'll just randomly crash. And then the Tempest, I can spend a couple seconds in. So I'll have some screenshots of those two on screen for you, just to kind of show you what I'm fighting against. You can see in the Buried Ocean one, there's end rods, just kind of everywhere. There's in the middle of the sky. There's only single end rods. They're not in the nice little clusters like they're supposed to be. And then I don't even know if you can see in the picture, but the block columns, like I mentioned earlier, are just nonsense. And you can see here in this Tempest screenshot as well, the magnetites, like I mentioned, they look like garbage. It's just single columns and they're covering the sky. They're not in the nice clusters like they used to be. So I think that's technically, it's all random patch. These are all these things that are having these issues, feature-wise. It's all very simple fixes. I think it's just a matter of figuring out how to do those fixes, because it's writing features in a completely different way than they were in 1.17. And a lot of conditions don't exist, or have had their names changed, or work differently in some ways, or in some cases. So in the Primordial Desert, this is probably one of the more stark differences in terrain. As you can see, it's very mountainous, very hilly, which I do want, because ideally, once I figure out how, I want really high terrain like this to be a volcano. I want volcanoes to only generate on high terrain like this, but for the most part, I want more of the terrain to be flat. This oasis happens to be quite flat, but if we fly out in this desert, and that's just coincidence, I haven't done anything to do that. If we fly out over here, this is desert. This isn't even dunes. This is just straight up desert, and it is super mountainous. So I have to figure out how to flatten that in such a way that it isn't going to create an ugly mess. And I want to figure out how to get the dunes, of course, to generate in a sort of similar manner to how they were before. Kind of a nice rippling through the sand. This oasis, again, is very hilly, and ideally I want it to be very flat. If we go find a volcano or a canyon, I don't even know if I can make canyons work how they used to. Primordial Desert. Let's do the canyon first, because I just said it. Canyons are at the same level as the rest of the terrain. They're not much lower down, and I'm not even sure if I can do that anymore. I don't have any reason to suspect that I can't, but I truly don't know. So, it's like I said earlier, I don't know what I don't know. There's just so much that has changed that is different, and there's no documentation for a lot of it. Yeah, let's go find a volcano. And then, like I said, I can't even really show you the Buried Ocean or the Tempest any more than I already have. I was able to take those screenshots before crashing, but I'm not going to do it on video, otherwise the game will crash. Oh, this volcano is super tiny. Well, that's not ideal. That will be fixed regardless, See if I can find a different volcano, or at least fly further away to get a different volcano to show up when I do locate biome. There are bigger ones. That happens to be a particularly small one, and that'll go away once biome distribution is, more varied, as it's supposed to be. But let's see here. Luckily, a lot of the underground in the Primordial Desert, I will give it that, a lot of the underground still generates perfectly. I've still got all my little custom dungeons here. Ooh, generation's slowing down a little bit. Hope we're okay. I still got my custom dungeons here. They're still working fine. Oh dear. Don't crash on me. No, I think we're okay. What's going on? There it goes. That was weird. The geodes are still generating fine. So the Primordial Desert's probably further along than a lot of places because the underground is still generating perfectly. Got all the caves I want. If we were to find a volcano biome, it would more or less be perfect. The ravine density is a little lighter than I would like it to be. Ooh, look at that nice big cave. Huge. Love it. The terrain density is, or the ravine density is not as significant as I'd like it to be, so that'll be increased, but that's just a matter of increasing the carver. Oh, that's funny. That two right on top of each other. That's hilarious. What are the odds of that? So yeah, I mean, the Primordial Desert has that going for it. It's just the surface that I need to learn how to make work the way it used to. And in a lot of ways, in a lot of cases, that might not be possible. A lot of things just might not be able to work the same as they used to. Some things might not look the same. I'm just really trying to avoid having to start from scratch or having to scrap features altogether. So that's kind of what I'm working against. That's kind of a good update as to where Dimensions is sitting. Once again, I have no intention or desire to give up on this or to scrap Dimensions altogether, to leave it in 1.17. I do want it to update to 1.18. I think it can do some really amazing things once I learn how to do them. It's just a matter of time and a lot of patience on my part, and unfortunately kind of even more patience on your guys' part. So hopefully the base New in Town will provide enough excitement for you in the meantime. and I will try to give you updates for the state of Dimensions as there are more updates to talk about. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it was interesting and enlightening at least, and I hope the beginning was fun and exciting enough to warrant 15 minutes-ish of kind of downer talk. 50,000 downloads, like I said, it's a great milestone to have reached. I'm really appreciative, and I really hope that you'll all stick with me as Dimensions gets updated in a matter of time. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.